Hey everybody, it's Tim hitting the beast of the marching arts. Thank you for watching this. I am here with a member of the Phantom Regiment brass staff, Stone Wang. How are you, Stone?
Good. How are you doing, Tim?
I always point that way, but you're actually over there. But anyway, on the camera. So we're recapping the fantastic day we had with the Phantom Regiment on Monday. We started our DCI Summer of Learning in partnership with Drum Corps International and the Phantom Regiment, which of course I'm an alumni of, was the leadoff corps. And boy, what a fantastic day it was. If you missed any of those webinars, the recordings of them are up now. So if you just go to martialartseducation.com and click on DCI Summer of Learning, click on Phantom Regiment, you'll find all those videos right there. Stone, you were there as part of the brass staff, right?
Yeah, I was there with Ryan Adamsons, Courtney Lawrence, and Jen Hepp.
I thought it was really impressive. I thought that was such a helpful conversation. If you are somebody that teaches anybody, really anything, but particularly if you're like a wind instructor or band director or whatever, there's great information about sort of the philosophies that the staff use and everything. Stone, I thought you were wonderful. And so I invited you to be here on this sort of Facebook Live sort of recap follow-up. So thanks for doing this.
I'm very flattered you thought of me, Tim.
No, absolutely. I thought you were great, and I thought it would be fun to talk to you again. So now, listen, the rest of you brass guys, all of you were great. It could have been anybody. So don't be insulted that it wasn't you. But Stone, I thought you did a great job. So tell us a little bit about yourself. We're going to talk a little bit more about what the regiment was talking about on Monday. There were 4 webinar sessions. The first was a leadership session with some of the student leaders who are members. Super impressive. Then there was a fundraising and engagement, sort of a marketing thing with the Phantom Regiment marketing team. Super smart ideas there. Then there was a brass staff, and then in the evening, the color guard and movement staff. And I will say this, Stone, before I ask you more about yourself, that color guard webinar, I did not know what to expect with that staff. It was Courtney Allison Mills and Adam Sage and Stephanie Chavez and Michael James, and they are all big personalities and they're all wonderful. But I got to tell you, all the webinars we've done, and perhaps all the podcasts I've done, 900 of them at this point, I've never seen so much laughing and so much crying all in the same. I don't know if you saw any of that, but there was a lot of tears, and there was a lot of anyway, I'll let everybody judge for themselves. A lot of fun stories about when they worked on past Phantom Regiment shows. Somewhere in there, I think there's actually some helpful information for color guard educators, maybe, but it was fun. So Stone, tell us about yourself. Where are you from and where did you march?
Well, I'm a Houston native in Texas, and I marched at the Santa Clara Vanguard for 5 years, from 2014 through 2018, and I marched on mellophone. I've been on brass staff at the Phantom Regiment for since the 2019 season.
Wow. So 2019 was your first, well, you aged out, right? Mm-hmm. Well, and that's quite the way to go. Congratulations at Babylon. That's not a bad way to finish your career.
Yeah, we were pretty good. It was a good time.
All right, so I have to ask you about that first. Did you guys know, as the show's starting to happen, did you know, wow, there's some special sauce going on?
I think the mellophones we knew from when we got the and then when we added the soloists and the duet, then we were like, oh, this is, and then we added the screamers, and then we're like, oh, this is game over.
It kind of was. I mean, it was quite amazing. I mean, I had the great fun of being in the crowd at finals that night, and it was like this frenzy. I mean, it was like electric. Well, I'm sure you felt it, I hope, when you were out in the field. The crowd was so into it.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was like the best part was the crowd. I don't know, it was like more than anything, I just remember seeing the crowd, I mean, basically standing for like most of our show, and that was a lot for us. So
everybody, I'm talking with Stone Wang, who's a member of the Phantom Regiment brass staff. He was on one of the webinars on Monday on our first day of the DCI Summer of Learning, and we're talking to him about we're going to talk about the webinars eventually again, but since he marched Santa Clara for 5 years on mellophone, right?
Yes, all
okay.
on mellophone.
So Was it as much fun to play that crazy long sustain as we all think it was?
Well,
Or was it like, this is really hard? Like, what tell me about it.
well, we thought it was interesting because, well, okay, not to take away from what we did, but we were standing still on props. Like we're not going to say that it was super hard, but I think the payoff of it was just like, oh, there's nothing we can do that like people won't love, and that was like a huge motivator for us to like take it to the next level, whatever we did, even if we were just standing there on a prop, So.
Well, as a middle horn player myself, I have to tell you that those kinds of moments that we relish these things, and like that was so famous.
Yeah.
And it like went on forever. I mean, it was just everything about it was so super cool and fun. So that's very cool. So, all right. So did you know as you were marching, hey, I want to go on and be an instructor. I want to keep this going. Like, what were you thinking?
Oh yeah. Well, okay. So I started at a pretty young age. Not the youngest, but I was 17 when I first marched the Vanguard. And I knew I had wanted to do something in music. That was like the dream. That was like my passion. I wanted to maybe teach, maybe perform. I don't know yet, but I want to go out to college and do that. And funny thing, I actually didn't. I started college as an economics major, and I still wanted to be a part of music, so I still did drum corps. And finally, I was like, no, music is it. This is my love. This is what I have to do. And then, so the years following, I was a music ed major at UT in Texas, and so everything in my drum corps career, I felt like helped me develop a stronger passion and stronger understanding of how to teach and how to perform.
So are you still in school, or
I just graduated last week.
Oh my goodness gracious!
Yeah.
Well, then we should have just had this celebration for you. So, and you said your brother's graduating from high school as well today, tomorrow?
Yeah, it's a stroke of luck that I was held back a year.
Well, congratulations! So you're a music ed major graduate?
I'm a graduate. Yes.
Are you looking for a job?
I unofficially have a job. I'm not allowed to talk about it.
Of course you do, because you're who you are. So, I mean, how could you not get snatched right up? So congratulations. I mean, I thought I was going to be like the guy, and I was going to be like, hey, everybody.
No.
I mean, like, clearly you've got that all going. Congratulations. That's fantastic.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you so much.
All right. So you can't talk about the job, but somebody's already got you lined up to help them make their program even better than it is.
Hopefully. Yes.
Okay. And obviously this summer with Regiment is not happening, but you were on the staff last summer. So going from member to staff member, was it at all what you expected, or was it really different?
It was. I think it was about in line with what I expected, which was, like there was a very clear line of how things happen day to day. I just like as a member, and this is not a big deal, but like I felt like every day was like a new adventure. It was something crazy, or like being somewhere cool. And, I just got to be a part of it. The Corps just guided me through it, and then being a staff member, I felt like I actively shaped the experience with a little more, say in the members' lives, just because I got to shape their learning experience, which was the coolest thing, being part of those discussions and then showing it, and then being that audience member during rehearsal. That to me was a big difference. And I was expecting it because and this is something shameful of me. I've never watched. I never watched live drum corps before I started marching. I saw a couple videos. I was like, oh, I gotta go. Well,
that's really.
Yes, and it was videos of the Phantom Regiment. And
so are you telling me that the first live drum corps you saw after you were marching was as an instructor?
Yes.
So what was that like?
It was incredible. You should have. I'm a very happy audience member. I love connecting with them because that's how I feel as a performer. And so I'm like that crazy guy in the stands, like whooping and hollering and jumping up. That's me. So
well, but that's the thing, is we're all huge drum corps fans. You know what I mean? Like, especially if you marched, I guess, because you have it in your blood now. But like, we're all, why not be big? Like, I'm the biggest fan ever. I'm the first one to jump up and and want to clap for
Yeah.
somebody. So I think that's awesome that you still feel that. So tell me about there was this whole thing going on, the brass staff conversation. Well, I guess Robert is like this famous mellow guy, and you were like mellow guy number two. Like, what was that all about?
Yeah. So okay. I guess the mellophone, the middle voice staff of the Phantom Regiment right now is basically everyone that I've ever looked up to as a mellophone player, right? So like from the top, we have JD Shaw, right, who was the '91 Regiment soloist and wrote all the books that I played and everything, and he even performed at my Midwest concert when I was in high school, and that like blew my mind as a horn player.
Wow.
And then we like kind of go down the rung, and then we have Ryan Adamsons, who taught me how to actually play the mellophone instead of just being a French horn player playing the mellophone. There's a difference, right? And he taught me so much about that. And then we go down another rung, and Ben Carroll, who was my section leader in at the Vanguard, and he was also the mellophone soloist of Les Mis and the Planet Show and Scheherazade. Like he was that mellophone player. Wow. So whenever I think about Ryan and Ben and JD, they're still on the pedestals that 17-year-old Stone put on. You know what I'm saying? They're still like my examples in like everything I do, especially teaching now.
Well, but now you're like standing right beside them.
Right. I mean, yes, but I don't think I'll
clearly. All right, I know what you're saying. I didn't mean to put you in that position, but like you are their colleague now, and that's a different relationship, and that's got to be kind of cool to be working with them in this new capacity.
Yeah, and and like we were talking about earlier, I don't think I was expecting to be back with them so soon, because I think marching I always thought, like one day I want to be like JD Shaw, I want to be like Ryan one day, I want to be up there, And I was with Ben Carroll, but like him and we went to the same school. We were friends, so like teaching together was like an extension of our friendship. But then this year, Ryan and JD show up, and it's been a really nice surprise. I think I was really intimidated at first because I was like, oh gosh, I'm not ready for my like far off dream yet. But like when we held discussions and whenever we talk about things, I realize. It's not that I don't have to prove myself to them, but like it's not the same kind of like proving myself anymore. I'm not just a member trying to play the best for them anymore. Now I'm doing a totally different thing, which is way more cooperative than it ever was.
Well, it's very cool to make that transition, and I'm sure that they know how talented and impressive you are, and so that's why you're there. If you didn't know what you were doing, you wouldn't be there on the same team with them. So that's very cool. So I'm here with Stone Wang, who was on the PR. I keep saying PR because it's on my notes. The Phantom Regiment Brass Staff webinar on Monday. So what was your experience like on the webinar on Monday? Like I'm assuming you've done that kind of thing before.
Well, not really. This is my first time I've ever been on a webinar. So
well, cool. How was it? Like was it horrible or terrifying or?
No, it was. Well, I didn't know what to expect. I was like, whatever's going to happen, I know we're going to talk about brass and being good. So.
Well, that's what I always tell people is like, I'm not going to ask you calculus questions or something, like it's going to be like something really, really well. And I thought you guys gave such great advice. If anybody hasn't seen that, the recording of the Phantom Regiment Brass Staff webinar from Monday is up now at Marching Arts Education. I would encourage everybody to go watch it. You can watch it for free. It's right there on the page. I just thought you guys gave like the philosophy of how you work with the students and the way that you treat them and in the all that stuff. I was really impressed with what everybody shared.
Well, we had like a couple of meetings beforehand about it, and there was either like we could talk really deep about every single thing we do when we play, but we kind of agreed that that's not what completely makes the Phantom Regiment or the people at the Phantom Regiment. What really makes the Phantom Regiment the way it is how we are, who we are, and that we realized is part of the whole tradition behind Regiment. And it's about the passion. It's about how humans interact with music, not just the music itself. That being said, the music has to be pretty darn good for that interaction to happen. But without the heart and without people learning how to be people, we don't really have the drum corps we want. So,
and what was interesting was on all 4 Phantom Regiment webinars, the word passion came up more than once. And I know that that's important to the Corps, and it's sort of in the mission of the Corps and the way they are and the way they do things. But that meant a lot to me, like seeing that just sort of casually be mentioned a lot throughout the whole day. So were you aware of the passion of the regiment when you showed up there? Like, is there a different feeling to it at all from what you were used to?
Well, okay. And I don't know if you remember this part of the webinar, but I kind of talked about how the regiment brought me to drum corps in the first place. Because I was just some Houston band kid, who liked band. And then he saw videos of the Phantom Regiment doing Spartacus and then doing their 2012 show, Tornado. And when I saw that 2012 show, I knew I had to go march drum corps. And so that was my first audition. And I just like all the social media stuff, like I consumed all of it. The videos of their big speeches of Dr. Dan and all of them. And so I went to the audition already knowing so much about this lore of the people at Regiment. And I was just really impressed. And then, like the way the cards fell, I went to Vanguard. And then a couple of years later, when I got to come back and seeing Will Pitts and seeing, Rick Valenzuela still talk about the passion and still seeing the members like put their heart into every rep, I was like, it was like 17-year-old Stone again, or 16 at the time, seeing the same people he looked up to in those YouTube videos. But now I get to be a part of that, and it was like, I get to shape that, it's like one of those like most like, it's like a moment of clarity, where you're just like, oh, this is way bigger than I ever could imagine, so it was pretty cool. Yeah.
Well, and what's very cool is I do think the universe sort of directs us and helps us end up where we ought to be. And you had these great experiences in drum corps, and now you're having great experiences with the regiment, which seems sort of predestined or just correct anyway. It seems correct. So that's awesome. I love that story. And I do remember you telling that story on the webinar. If anybody didn't see, the webinar recording is available now. We're talking about the brass staff webinar from Monday with the Phantom Regiment. The whole day of the webinar with the regiment was so great. And the student leaders were so impressive. I mean, it was Claire's for the drum majors. Hannah was there for the guard. Megan for the front ensemble. And, oh gosh, who was Kevin, who I learned to say his name and now I've forgotten it already, was there for the horn. But they were so impressive, like Stone. Like, I mean, here's the thing, everybody. If you ever like lament like kids today and, oh, what's going to be we're all screwed in the future and all this, all you have to do is go watch that webinar. Or go talk to any of these kids that are doing great things in the drum corps world or really in any of our activities. And like, you're like, okay, like it calms me down. I'm like, I think we're going to be okay. It's like, they're so great. I mean, these students, right?
Yeah. Well, and that was like a benefit of coming to teach at Phantom Regiment so soon after my aging out, because I was on leadership for a while at the Vanguard, and we went through a lot of transition and a lot of different things happening. And coming to Phantom, the regiment, not Phantom, but the regiment. Courtney totally brought us.
Does everybody understand that? Like in the Phantom Regiment family, everybody calls it the regiment, but everybody outside of it in drum corps calls it Phantom. And so, if you're new to the regiment, you have to get used. I thought that was really funny that they talked a lot about that because it's. And if you didn't know that, everybody, now that you're watching this, you're one of the smart people watching this. Now you're on the end.
Now you know.
Don't call it Phantom. You call it the regiment. That's what. Anyway, if you're in the net.
So these great students at the regiment, the staff sort of gave me a bigger role my second year to help be a part of the leadership process and be a part of the organizational side of the process. And these student leaders, they are chomping at the bit to make the regiment the regiment. The passion, the people, like that's what's really important to them. And all we had to do as staff was to just give them the tools to do it. Like We have our, like we talked about on the webinar, we talk about our online program, and most of that is student led because like we want them to develop a culture, and these student leaders, they latch on and they make something great, which is more than like any of us could ask for, and even now they're still doing great things.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They're like leading right now on all this virtual world stuff that's going on. The regiment's doing a great job of engaging with not only the members, but their whole sort of family and fan base and everything. So if you are watching this and you are a band director or an instructor that works with any kind of high school group, whatever, you need to get your students, and particularly your student leaders, to watch that conversation from Monday with the regiment student leadership staff. I got to tell you, it was so impressive. And they talk about how they do things and what it means like to be a leader and how they work as a team, how they set up the leader. It was great information. I thought it was really, really cool. I got to tell you, Stone, like everybody on Monday and all the regiment stuff was so impressive.
Thank you, Tim.
And I mean, I'm not just saying that because I'm an alumni and I'm very biased, but really, I mean, like they were knocking it out of the park. And then the second session about fundraising and marketing and engaging with your fans and your alumni and everything, that was like really helpful information. And then, as I mentioned, if anybody didn't see it, the evening session with the color guard and movement staff, well, that was like its whole other thing.
It sounded like Courtney was just waiting for that to happen. She was like ready for something.
Well, I shouldn't say this live for everybody to see, but I actually asked her, I was like, so Courtney, did that go the way you kind of planned for it? And she's like, not really.
Oh my God.
It's really fun. And if you watch it, as I said earlier, the most laughing and the most crying on one webinar ever. It was crazy. But the thing is, there's a lot of really fun stories, and if you watch nothing else, watch it to see Courtney's story about stepping on the bee while writing choreography. That is worth the hour and a half or whatever it is they're on, just to see that part. Is super, super hilarious. But anyway, I don't want to keep you all night, so thank you so much for being here. First off, congratulations on graduating from college and starting your career at unknown but well thought out place already. That's awesome. And tell your brother congratulations. I think your brother's watching because he said hello. So tell him congratulations for graduating.
Great. Yeah, absolutely. And thanks so much, Tim, for hosting this whole thing. The regiment family and staff and the members, like we couldn't be more happy to share what we know and what we feel about everything.
Well, I feel excited to get to share all of that. Of course, this all summer, every day there's a different drum corps, and we're showing 19 webinars a week, everybody. 19 webinars. I don't know what I was thinking, but anyway, there's a lot of great stuff going on. In fact, there's one tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern with the Madison Scouts. So don't miss that, everybody. Tomorrow, the battalion. On Friday, we have Michael Rosales, Matt Harloff, and Ian Grom and Ian Moyer, front ensemble. I mean, lots of work stuff. Yeah, it's a lot. There's a lot going on. Yeah. But I want to say thank you to Drum Corps International, Dan Atchison, and John Denovi and Bob Jacobson. All those guys have been super supportive and helpful to us as we've been putting this together, and they're allowing us to partner with them to do this. So we're excited about it. Stone, man, you're an impressive guy. Thank you for taking time to talk with me tonight.
Yeah, thank you for asking, Tim. I really enjoyed this.
And good luck not only with the regiment when we're back. I almost made it. Hang on. I'm not dying, everybody. I'll edit this later.
Okay.
Don't call 911. I'm fine.
Okay.
Anyway, next summer when you're out, hopefully on the staff again, of course, with the regiment and all that, I look forward to seeing you, and good luck with your new career starting this fall.
Well, thank you so much, Tim.
Thanks, everybody, for watching. I really appreciate it. Stone, you were awesome. Thanks.
Bye, y'all.